So when I was 10, I was like downloaded with instructions with this divine order that said, "This you will be a magician. This is what you're going to do in life."
Did you have the moment in your career that, oh, I made it as a magician?
I dropped out of college when I was 20. I was couch surfing with friends and family for years. I was storing illusions and equipment in friends' garages, parents' garages. It wasn't easy. I thought overnight I'd be a success. But when my parents came to see the show in Atlantic City, and their friends had called them and said, "Oh, we just saw your son on a billboard," I think they realized, okay, this is finally happening. Whenever I felt that shift in them, I started to realize, oh, I guess this is the normal now. This is it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Be Frank Podcast. Today we have a special guest. He's a magician. He is the greatest world illusionist today. He's from NBC, right?
That's right. Yeah, you did your homework. Yeah.
And then I know him for a long time, and it's been a while to see him. But we have a one and only Rob Lake. Thanks for coming.
Hey, it's so good to see you again. I was trying to think, how long has it been since when we first connected? What, 2009, 10? Somewhere like that?
Yeah. So it's been like almost, I don't know, 5-7 years.
Yeah, I've seen you a while, but I'm trying to remember the first time we actually get to work together. Because it was so exciting. Because I saw some of the work you had done. I thought, I want to work with this guy. It was great, because we worked at several places.
Yeah, and then I went to Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I remember.
Bahamas.
Yeah, we'd bring you out to film the show in different locations for us.
I think we started at Ponca City, right?
Oh my gosh, is that right?
Yeah, it's a Ponca City, like a that little theater, and then the guy who owns the theater messaged me time still.
Awesome. No, I remember that. Yeah, because we would film the show. There's a gorgeous theater in rural Oklahoma, middle of nowhere, not middle of nowhere, small little town.
Yeah,
great little town.
Yeah.
But it's a vaudeville theater.
Yeah.
And it's for the most part still, restored.
Yeah.
And so it's a great place to film the show because it looks so great on camera.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not the most up-to-date theater, so it's not easy to do a show there. It has lots of challenges. But on camera, it looks spectacular. And we actually filmed there again a couple years ago for an event.
Oh, awesome. That's
During the pandemic, we filmed a TV thing for there during the theater. So.
Oh, nice. And then you've been on to America's Got Talent and then all that kind of places. I mean, congrats for all your success.
Thank you. It's been quite a wild ride.
Yeah, I do ask a lot of the first question to the guest is that, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about you, but, if you have a new website built today and then what your bio would say.
Luckily I've had the same website. I think every time we just update the bio, so I haven't started from scratch. I would say dreamer, believer, someone passionate about magic and wonder and passionate about theater and entertainment, and taking my magic, my illusions, my inspiration all around the world.
How long have you been doing magic?
I started when I was 10 years old,
and
I never grew up.
And then did you, whenever 10 years old, did you thought you're gonna be a professional magician since?
I knew, yeah. So when I was 10, I knew not even 100%, 1,000,000% this is what I would do. I was downloaded with instructions with this divine order that said, "This you will be a magician. This is what you're going to do in life."
Yeah.
And I never thought of anything else. So which was great, blessing, because I knew so passionately what I would do. The downside is when obstacles happened or challenges happened or things were delayed, things did not happen as fast as I want them, it felt much more personal and much more difficult because why is this not happening? This is what I dreamed. This is what I need to do. What's happening?
Right. It's like a magic show, and then because you're doing, how did you start it? Did you start it doing the show in front of a family or a birthday party?
Yeah. So I got hooked. I saw a magic show with my family, and I just knew. I went to the library, which is what the internet used to look like, and I got every book they had of magic. So I would just do small tricks. I'd amaze my friends or my family and my teachers and the neighbors. And by amaze, I mean probably annoy. I was that annoying kid who said, "Here, do a trick," and but they were very courteous to watch and let me play. Then I would start to do birthday parties, for local kids. I would start to do shows for local church groups, for Rotary Club or Lions Club or civic groups, and I would save that birthday party money and buy an illusion. I always knew I would do a stage show, an illusion show, so I'd save up all my money. Incrementally, I built my show, my career.
Damn. So you just do the show, save the money, and then because those magic, I guess, is that called equipment or gear?
Yeah, or illusions. Yeah,
illusions. Yeah. It's I would say it will take a lot of cost, right?
It does. Yeah. And so, some of them can cost more than a house.
Wow.
It's just but I couldn't do it all at once, and so starting as a kid, I had a head start. So I really built the show piece by piece. I would save that money, get something bigger, save the next money, kind of grow and grow. I, stored things in my parents' garage, took over the garage, then had to get a storage unit, then had to get a warehouse, and you had to
Right.
get a bigger warehouse, just because the show would just grow little by little over time.
What's like a biggest like a jump you had? Because like for me, like whenever I started filming, I think whenever I was in college, and then like I didn't have a camera on my hand till like I was college. I was a baseball player growing up.
Right, right.
I wasn't creative or whatever. So like so whenever I went to college, and I got a 7D camera, which I got it for free from like a producer. They liked me, and then they gave it to me, and then like I was dreaming myself like, well, if I can buy this camera called 5D Mark III, which was like $5,000 camera, and I was like, man, if I can buy this camera, like I'll be set, I'll be happy. So then I was like saving up, but like I started business and different kind of stuff, and then I bought a camera called Canon C300, which is it cost like a $20,000 at the time.
Yeah.
So I bought that one. So I was like, well, great. Like I was dreaming this, $5,000 camera. I bought a $20,000 camera. That's awesome. Like I was wondering, like, is there like a illusion or whatever, like you always wanted to buy, and then was that like a big step for your career?
Yeah. It might take me a second to answer this because I think there's a lot there. First of all, the fact that you just didn't touch a camera until college is amazing because that just shows you how much natural talent you have. Because when I saw your camera work through mutual friends in the entertainment media industry from around where we are, I was blown away because you have a natural talent. So the fact that you started late is amazing. I think I can also relate because as a creative, as someone who has ambitions and dreams, you think you're only as good as the next ladder rung you're reaching for ahead of you.
Right.
You think all you need is just this thing here. All you need is this thing here. And it's taken a lot of my life to realize it's not a single thing. It's not a single camera. I mean, you could probably do amazing work with an iPhone that rivals, your $20,000 equipment. It's really about knowing how to use it, how you present it, how you focus on it. That's really more. So for me, it wasn't one illusion. I can remember the illusions I just was dying to have. Oh, I really want this, or I really want this. And honestly, now, I don't even perform those anymore. But growing up as a kid in a middle school, in high school, in college, I was like, if I only had this illusion, it would make me. Well, when I finally got it, it's like that didn't make me.
What was it?
Let me think. Which ones? I mean, most of the ones that you would have filmed back there, because the show's grown so much. They're not even in the show anymore. I will never sell them because I'm too. I put so much of my blood, sweat, tears, my passion into them and making it my own. But everything I do now is on a grander scale and more elaborate and more involved. We still keep them, and I'll do them for private events or for fun things. If I'm double booked, we pull some things out of the inventory to add to it. But really, just a lot of the original illusions I would perform, I would think, if I just have this one thing, I'm gonna be an overnight success. And what I really had to learn was it's not about the trick. It's about the performer and the performance and the wonder and what we bring to the show. So similar to probably your work, yes, the equipment and gear is great, but honestly, your clients probably think, okay, that's cool that you have that, but they're more concerned as like, what's the product going to work like? What's the artistic side? What are you bringing that no one else can do? Because a lot of people probably have like cameras and equipment.
Got you.
And I could probably just go rent it myself right now, off a rental house somewhere.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know how to use it. So someone creative, it's like not just the equipment. It's like what do they bring in that the equipment just supports what they do.
That makes sense. I mean, like it's like using camera, like how much the camera, like how expensive the camera is. If the shooter doesn't know how to use it, it doesn't really matter, right? And then like editing stuff and everything comes in. So I think that's totally makes sense. And then like you have, because I met you like a long time ago, and then now you're like on TV, and then like because when we went to Atlantic City, like it's a big show. Like it was amazed by like how many people shows up, Bahamas and everything. People shows up, and like what was like a process of like getting people get to know you, getting to like getting a following, like what it takes to become where you are, honestly.
I would say persistence. And if you told me as a kid how long it would take for the success and the comfort of where I'm at to come, it might have deterred me and made me, not want to do it. But, because it's just so it was a lot harder and longer than people realize.
Right.
And so would I do it again if I knew? Probably, but I don't know,
Right.
because I thought it would happen a lot faster. It just is persistence. It's understanding. It's studying. It's observing what other shows, other artists, not just magic. Honestly, most of the time it's not magic, but how do Broadway shows or other music artists, how do they promote? How do they do? Where can you get ideas for? And then it's years and years of knocking on doors.
Right.
And eventually they're going to say, oh, this is interesting. But, they're going to realize you're not ready yet. They're going to realize up front you're not ready. And the show, you don't have the experience. And you can't get experience without more experience. And you can't get more experience without more videos. And you can't get videos without the shows. So it's all a cycle.
Is that how that works? Like, as like you're starting out, like, do you film your magic and then like you email the person to get the
back
show?
then it was mailing videotapes. When it started, it wasn't even DVDs. It started with VHS tapes, then DVDs.
Right.
And then, then eventually it became, YouTube links and stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of times growing up, when YouTube was first coming out, agencies like, send us a video. They still wanted a video. They wanted a hard thing they could see and have.
Got you.
But you really couldn't get a video unless you had equipment or props. And you couldn't really get equipment or props unless you had gigs and money. You couldn't have a place to film it. We would go and we would do a show in the area basically for free, but we'd use that show as a great place to film. The purpose of the shows we did with you were just to get it on cameras, to make that promo video, to make that highlight reel.
That makes sense. And then like, like for me, like I was like, well, I don't know if I can consider myself I made it or whatever. Like, so as a professional creative, if you can just eat and live just whatever you're doing and what you love, like I feel like I made it. But like, what was that, like you had a big show in Bahamas, or like you went to America's Got Talent? Is there like still in the works, or like did you have the moment in your career that, oh, I made it as a magician?
I think, internally as a creative, like I said before, you are only as good as what you think is right ahead of you. Even if what all you've accomplished. So many times when I'm frustrated, if there are setbacks or things are not happening fast enough, I will have to remind myself, I've done some pretty cool stuff in my life, and I'll have to really remind myself of it. For me, the time that finally made me think, okay, this is cool, was not me noticing something, but my family. I dropped out of college when I was 20. I was a struggle. I was couch surfing with friends and family for years. I was storing illusions and equipment in friends' garages, parents' garages. It was, it wasn't easy. I thought overnight I'd be a success and have a showroom and a big casino. It didn't happen. But when my parents came to see the show in Atlantic City, and as they were driving in past the billboards for the show, they said, I think that's when it clicked for them. And their friends had called them and said, oh, we just saw your son on a billboard. Again and again. I think they realized, okay, this is finally happening. And whenever I felt that shift in them, I started to realize, oh, I guess this is the normal now. This is it. So
yeah.
But again, for then, I was still focused on what's next from that.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do as creatives. We have to always create. And if you're passionate and like challenges, you always push forward and move ahead.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like you're like looking back to see like how far you came, and then like honestly, that's why I've been loving the creative of like YouTube, also like creating videos, because like I can see what I created 5 years ago. I'm like, man, that doesn't look good,
But it may not look good by your standards now. But what you're judging by is the camera or the lighting or your experience. But at the same time, you have to look at it and say, wow, look how good that was, especially for that time.
Oh, yeah, of course. And then, like, I look at it, then whenever I was making that, and then also, like, man, I did it, like, best I could there, and I'm proud of myself. And then, like, then I can see what I'm doing right now, and then, okay, this is super cool. I can see the progress. I mean, like, is that kind of same for you? Like, because you videotape all that stuff, right?
We shot so much video, and most of that I will never see the light of day again. I've got years of bad haircuts and not knowing how to dress, and and honestly, for me, looking back, I can see the foundation was there, but I had to, it was the experience I talked about, and I had to get the experience to learn how to be comfortable on stage, how to find myself. And so what you're asking, like, how does someone else do this? And even back then, we made, we shot a weekend of footage, and we edited it down to, 2 or 3 minutes at most.
Yeah.
And we sent it out. But then, because around that time, everyone was getting Macs or MacBooks, everyone was editing videos. So a lot of these bookers and agents were saying, oh, well, anyone can make a really cool video. How do we know the show's going to be any good? You don't have the experience. We haven't seen you. How do we know it's going to be any good? So they said, okay, in addition to your 3-minute video, send us the full video now. It's like, well, we didn't shoot that. We just shot the snippet. So, it's like, after all this work and time, go back to the drawing board to film, to get more experience, to get the full show on camera so they know they're not going to get burned. not by me, but they would hire someone who would have an amazing highlight video, and they would not have a good show. So there's a big right, and that was when YouTube was booming and things are coming up, because a lot of these agents and bookers and venues and cruise ships or casinos, they got burned. They booked something off of a really great video, and the show was a disaster.
Right.
So we wanted so again, even though we produced this stuff, it's like, okay, that's good, but we're really excited, but we need for our own safety to know more, send us the whole video. Which when we filmed, we shot the best highlights because that's all we needed at the time. So we had to go back to drawing board. So I think, and then that took a time and experience. So I think for me, that time and the experience was not only getting better illusions on stage and staging them better, but finding what made me comfortable, what made me feel able to be authentic and vulnerable on stage. And that's the biggest experience hurdle I had. And so when I talk to people, how do you do it? That's the thing I wish I'd worked on sooner, not focus as much on which specific illusion I had to buy or spend money on, but like going on stage, being 100% authentic, and then making it work and strong is really the key, because it's more about the performer or the creative than the equipment or the gear or the facility. So same for you, with your camera work, you had that. It's like, it wasn't, people were not booking you because you had certain camera and we know how much you spent on it.
Right.
We were wanting to hire you, or any creative for that matter, because of your, we knew we were getting an entry level person in college, fresh out of college. We knew what we were getting.
Right.
And we were lucky to get such amazing talent available and accessible because of that. And we knew we weren't spending a lot of money for a studio camera or a film set. We're not spending $1 million a day to film this. So we know what we're getting. So it's like, so a lot of these younger performers I see, they're trying so hard to be me or to be Chris Angel or to be someone they're not. And we know you're not that. You're not competing that way. So if you're going out and trying to compete with that, good luck. It's a circle. But if you go out saying, hey, this is where I'm at. I built these illusions and these props in my garage as a kid, but I'm going to do it damn good.
Right.
That's the authenticity. That's the thing we want. That's what we know we're getting. That's so. So I think it's really about being authentic and vulnerable and truthful, and finding your voice in that situation, and then using the equipment or the gear that you can attain that supports where you are and who you are.
That's awesome. I mean, I always thought I was amazed by whenever I was filming your show, and I would go to your show for a couple of days to film, or even a week. And then I was amazed by every show you do is a kind of practice, and then also the same, practice, and then it's the same things, right? Every day. And I was but you perform every show is important, every show is fun, every show you're doing for the audience. I was super amazed how you're not tired of it sometimes, you know what I mean?
Because you love it, and those people who pay to see it, it's their first time to see it, their first time to experience it.
Yeah.
And they deserve it to be fresh. They deserve it to be exciting. They deserve it to feel like it's the first time ever.
Yeah.
And that's the wonder, that's the enchantment, that's what you do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you bring the audience to the stage, right? Is there a craziest thing happen whenever you
for me to make it fun and make it different, to change up, I do make it very interactive.
Yeah.
We bring a lot of volunteers on stage, and we take a lot of the magic into the audience.
Yeah.
So making it fun and spontaneous and unique every night is a thrill. You never know what's going to happen. They say things, they do things. Crazy things. We've had really drunk people on stage. They don't look really drunk, but when they come on stage, it quickly becomes apparent how drunk they are.
Yeah.
Especially doing a lot of casino shows. That's always. And sometimes we do have to send them back to see. It's just it's not safe. It's not fun. It's not good. So it's just not going to work. There's never been anything really, really. No one's really had major incidents. It's just always fun because they don't know what they're getting into.
Right.
We don't know how they're going to react. So this is different every time.
Yeah.
I had a kid over the summer who got so excited he couldn't contain himself, so he started breakdancing on the stage. Whoa. That was his way of dealing with his excitement, and it stopped the show. It would stop the show from. No one could stop laughing for 5 minutes or so. It was just hilarious. This kid was just so excited and thrilled and believed magic was real, and his way of processing that was breakdancing, I guess. Yeah. It was great.
That's awesome. It's a shows every time is different, and then people. Whenever I was there, and then people ask me all the time, is oh, you went to shoot for a magician? I'm yeah, and they're how does he do it? I'm well, it's funny because I tell this story every time because of I remember, I think that was Atlantic City or something. Your assistant came to me and said, hey, Yosuke, you need to sign this. I was what I'm signing? He's well, you can't say bunch of stuff or what happened to the show. I'm okay.
The secrecy agreement.
Yeah, agreement. I'm like, okay, so like I'm like, what if like I break it? And then he's like, well, you get cursed. I was like, good enough.
Well, cursed and sued, probably both. Yeah. I don't know which is worse.
Yeah, so like I was like, well, so that's why I won't say it. That's what I tell everybody is like, come ask me, say how they do it, and like, well, this is what happened. I curse. I don't want to get cursed. So
I like that. I didn't know that one, but I'm gonna use that myself now.
So like that's funny. And then like yeah, I think it's crazy to me like being a magician. I was curious about what your take on it. It's like being a creative, but you are running a business. Also, you have to manage crew. Like so many goes into one show. Like people who are bringing equipment, people are assistant dancers, and your assistant, all that kind of stuff. What you because you have to be creative, you have to be a business, you have to be a manager, right? Like so, is that kind of things that you like had a help on, or like you just like made a mistake during your journey and then learn, or like what was kind of like your process of like getting that stuff?
Well, maybe the mistake was starting the journey. So I say this, the tip of the iceberg, not even just the tip, but like the snowflakes on the top of the iceberg, the crystals and the mist, that's the performance, that's the fun. The rest, it's show business. There's a business side, there's logistics, there's freight, there's travel, there's marketing, there's budgeting, there's business side of it. There's, casting and HR and crew and development and storing the illusions, the warehouse, the facilities, the transportation, the international stuff, the shipping. That's 99, not even 99, that's almost 100% of the day. The show and the fun, the performance is just the tip of the iceberg. It's not even the icing on the cake, it's the top of the sprinkles on the icing on the cake is the performance, the fun. So I say to people, if you have a passion, especially in the creative world, if there's anything else you can see yourself doing, do that. Because
interesting.
Yeah, because you can probably relate similarly. It's always much more time than you ever would have anticipated to take to do things, to run a business, to get an operation, to get yourself noticed and recognized and promoted. It's a nonstop thing. It's 7 days a week, every day of your life for your entire life. You have to be a workaholic. You have to make sacrifices. Your friends might go out partying and drinking. You say, I'm sorry, I can't. I've got to go write jokes for the show. I've got to go work on a marketing proposal for a client. I've got to go work on a pitch for a sales meeting next week. Whatever it is, you have to make these sacrifices. So if there's anything else you can see yourself doing as a creative and being happy and comfortable, go for it. If this is the only thing you can see yourself doing, no matter the sacrifice, the work, the take, then this is what you're going to do. Just know it's going to be years of sacrifice and work and stress and upset and obstacles and happiness just for that little tip of the iceberg.
For that show time.
For the show time. That is so, even though time-wise that's only the tip, that makes it all worthwhile. And because there's nothing else I can see myself doing.
What does that make you like enjoy doing the show the most? Like, is that like an audience giving you a standing ovation, like when you're standing up there, or like whenever you're like hear people laugh, or when people come up to you at the end of the show, say, "Hey, that was a fantastic show." Like, what is
So I like all that, not from the ego, like, oh, praise me, or but because it means the show worked. It means the show connected with them. It means they had fun.
Yeah.
It means I did my job.
That is the ego thing, but I was curious, just like, what makes it like like love it so much?
Yeah, doing a live show, those things, the applause, the laughter, the connection with the audience after the show, those things are instant feedback to know it worked and it was right, and you made a difference. You inspired them, you touched them, you moved them, you provided wonder and made them had a good time. So that's what makes it fun. It's just and those things are the reason I do it, because it is fun. Because I remember that 10-year-old kid seeing magic and feeling those things myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then like, what is the process of like making a new trick?
Very long. It can take years. One illusion took me over 11 years to create.
11 years.
11 years before, and we traveled. Probably back then, we probably had started back then with you. And honestly, I think we filmed part of it before, and then it just wasn't working. We had to go back to the drawing board, but we still filmed a clip. And I think honestly, we still use that clip in our stuff. But because I wanted it to be perfect, and I didn't want to make any concessions. I wanted to get it so right. And it took 11 years, and we traveled around, and we'd rehearse it, and say, "This is not ready. I have to go back to the drawing board. Try again." and it finally made it to the show. Another idea I had when I was 12, and it took until the pandemic when we finally had time to focus and do it and get it right. And even then, it hasn't. We've performed it a few times, but it hasn't made it into the full show because I'm making it even better and more logistically possible to set up, to travel, and do. So we're still rebuilding it again, but we're really close. And I've had that idea when I was 12, and I'm not going to say my age publicly on the internet. You know, it's out there. But it's taken decades to get this illusion in.
Yeah.
And I had the idea my whole life, and people said, it's never going to happen. You can't do it that way. It's not going to work that way. It just won't happen. And I just knew it could. I knew it had to. I believed it. I had a vision for it. I saw it, and I could see the steps. It's just taken a lot of steps to figure out how to get there. Gotcha. Now, other illusions have taken me a few months, but that's also because I say take a few months, but I've been thinking about something along that lines. I've been kind of playing with the idea in my mind for a couple years before I said, okay, I'm going to do it, and here's what I decided I'm going to do.
So is that kind of like working with a team, or like is that kind of like you just sit in the garage and just?
It's both. It's both. I don't work with a lot of other magicians, but I have a couple magician friends who I can call and just say, hey, be my sounding board. Let me talk this out loud with you. Ask me questions and help me talk through it here. And they do, and that really helps because it's not like I'm not saying tell me how great this is. I'm saying let me talk this out loud, see where the problems are, see what I'm missing. And really, it's like kind of their consultants are really more like a sounding board where there's back and forth conversation. They understand the needs of illusions. They have a kind of a history, a background of understanding. And so that helps a lot. And then until we build it, we sometimes don't know. And sometimes we have to rebuild it and rebuild it again and again and again.
That is awesome. I mean, like, dude, I guess magic community, is that like a tight niche, right? Probably?
Yeah, I mean, everyone kind of knows everyone.
Yeah.
And, I've got a few really close friends in that community. Gotcha. Including one of which who's the mentor who I saw his show when I was a 10 and inspired me, and then he became my mentor and very good friend.
Who is that?
Kirby Van Birch.
Oh, cool. And then like, I think it's just like seeing those kind of stuff and people helping each other. Like it's kind of amazed by like I've been like kind of following one comedian stuff, and then they go to like stand up and they don't get paid, and then like we just like, but like they bomb sometime, they get laugh, and then like all the stand-up comedian goes to that show and watch it. They critique each other.
Oh, they help. It's very. I think that community is more supportive and fraternal than the magic community. But I think it's because there are more comedy clubs.
Yeah.
And they have to couch surf. They have to do that. It's a survival need. There's less magic performance of venues.
Yeah.
And I think probably a lot more magicians from the various levels, from amateur to professional.
Yeah. I mean, like a magic community. I mean, I'm not sure how's that work, but also like you went to the like America's Got Talent, right? Like how was that? They call you, and then like how was that process?
Yeah, we turned down the show for 10 years or more.
Wow.
I just didn't want to be mostly because the contract, so they own you for life, and I don't watch TV. I never watch TV, so I had no idea how popular the show was. So I went on thinking, okay, let's go on the show, let's get 1 million YouTube views, let's just do one episode, one round, do 1 million YouTube views, and then move on. So I'm on stage the first round. And they have either 250 or 300 crew members working on the show every episode.
250?
Yes, that's how massive the show is. So I'm back there, I'm like, this is a big deal. I underestimated the value, the reach, the popularity of the show. I had no idea it was such a big show. And so while I'm back there, filming like the B-roll, the interviews, all that stuff, I'm Googling like how many viewers does the show get? I'm like, I underestimated this big time. So I had to rearrange my schedule. I was on tour in Europe. We had to pause the tour in Europe so I could fly back to film the second round.
Right.
I had to leave the Bahamas for my summer residency a week early to go film the final live show. I had to pull things out of that show early to ship them to LA to film. So it was I really had to turn the world upside down to make it work. But once I on stage saw how big that show was, I said, there's no way I want to miss out on this opportunity. And we went in, the first illusion we did got like out of the gates, it got like 50 million YouTube views.
That's awesome.
And then the next was added up. But no, what I didn't know is they every season when the next season starts, they wipe their YouTube channel clean. I'm like, all those views I lost.
They did?
They do. So, but we know. So we have screenshots, so we know what the view count was. And honestly, they're still up there on the fan sites and their secondary channels and all that. They still have tons of views. But, getting almost 100 million views in a year from 3 performances was not a bad thing to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's cool, though. Like, I think that impact was probably huge, right? And, like, your career and all that kind of stuff.
The show didn't change much. Our gigs didn't change much. I think the marketing angle changed and the notoriety changed.
That makes sense. And then, like, I was always curious, like those you have like, whenever you're performing, you have assistant and the dancers and all that kind of stuff. You do audition and all that kind of stuff, but they have to be flexible, right?
Not really. People think, oh, they're all contortionists and stuff. No, it's really not. There's more of a height size just because the illusions are built for someone of a certain height. But people think, oh, they've got to be contortionists. They've got to. No, it's really just honestly what the costumes and the illusions we have already are built for someone who's of a certain height.
Is that like a kind of same as like acting audition, like just invite people, get a headshot, invite
Yeah.
people?
I mean, pretty much. But we'll do open call. And like we've had auditions in New York City where we've had 300 dancers show up.
300?
And we have 3 spots open.
Wow.
So it's it's really a big room with a lot of dancers, and it's the like you'd see in a big audition or dance call. So we've been lucky to have a lot of people show up for our auditions.
How do you decide?
I come in the last round for usually the top 10 or top 15, but I've my dance captain, the dancers in the show, they help decide who's the best performer. They go down on technique and skill and performance things, and then we bring it in kind of there's a conversation, and we think who's going to be not only a great performer, which we want, that's how they're in the top 10, but we will be living on the road, in hotels, on a bus, on flights with this person, hopefully for years.
Yeah.
Because some of my people have been with me, for 5 years, 10 years, a long time.
Right.
And so it's like, who are we going to invite into our family?
Like just a personality.
Exactly. We want to make sure we think it's going to get along
Yeah.
and make sure we're going to, connect and make sure we get that right vibe. And so that's a longer part of the process. After they've met all the technical and performance criteria, which I've got people much better than me to help judge that.
That's awesome. I mean, like, I always have a same question to ask to my employees to like a judge. Like it's kind of a little bit off the cuff, but because I ask them every time, say, manholes like on the street,
Right?
like why is that circle? That's what I ask. Because of that, like the question is like there's no right or wrong answer, but like when people say, "Oh, I don't know," then I will never hire them because I don't want to hire people who can't think. And then like people will like tell me like a different kind of answer, and I kind of understand how they think and how they like process things, information. But also there is a right answer to this manhole question is because of the circle is the only shape doesn't fall down. So that's why manhole is covered circle. So I think this is the kind of question like I do ask, but like, do you have any question you ask?
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole list of them. Things like as simple as what's your favorite Disney movie?
Oh yeah.
And the correct answer would be Beauty and the Beast, just for the record. Yeah. We ask them, what's a stressful time where you screwed up and how'd you come over it? Because we want to know those things because it's life, things happen, but we want to know how they're gonna do it. And it's also to answer, we really don't have a specific answer we're looking for, just like you with the manhole question.
Yeah.
You're seeing how they respond, how quick they are, how creative they are, how comfortable they are answering a question.
Yeah.
Because after this phase, they're not going to just be with you. They're going to be at a sales meeting or pitching things. And when you run a small business, it's your business, your passion, your dream. So it's much more personal.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can this person fit in here and represent me and be part of the team and be part of our mission or passion? They're never going to work as much as you do. I'm not asking them to work 24/7 like I do.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure when they do work with you, it's moving in the right congruent direction that you're headed.
Gotcha. I mean, like honestly, like as a small business owner, and then like a business owner in general, that like when people, I totally agree with that. Like nobody, like other than you, will be more passionate about your business. But some people pour like a lot of hurt and soul to your business. But at the same time, people come and go.
They do.
So like is that. I still haven't figured out what's a good like draw the line is. Like how much should I pour into it? Like I'm just my process is always like, well, I'm gonna treat them like a cousin, not like my brother and sister or something like that. I'm gonna treat them like a cousin. If they leave, that's okay. Like that's kind of things like how I do it. But like, how do you do it? Because you live with them, right? Like you kind of spend time so much. Yeah. Like how do you put like your effort to like teach them or like manage them? Like where do you draw the line?
Well, I mean, ultimately is show business. It is a business, and they understand that, and we have a business relationship, and and we respect that. They are here for a job, and we're here to pay them. Yeah. We ask a lot of them. As the job goes, but we also have a great time. We take care of them. We have great travels and adventures around the world. So it is a balance, and it is an understanding. They know it's not it's a touring job. You're with your coworkers all the time. And you're in isolated places around the world and
Yeah.
hotels with your coworkers all the time. And so it's different than a 9 to 5 where you go off, okay, if we see you all Monday, have a great weekend. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen all the time. But there also might be time where you go on hiatus for a few months. Okay, see you guys in 2 or 3 months and
Yeah.
pick up where we left off. So it's really finding that business and finding, the professional standards that you expect and making sure everyone's on the same page. Because if it becomes too personal, too friendly, the work suffers, the conditions and the expectations get done. So I think it's all about managing expectations and communication.
I know you love to go to Disney World.
I do. Yeah, I
But-
love the Disney parks. Yeah.
I was wondering because of you travel for work all the time. You go to Bahamas, everywhere, right? Like
45 countries or so now.
45 countries. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's I guess 150 left. I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, so like, do you like to travel?
I
Like,
love
if
to
you-
travel.
Like, then like you go to Disney World or like where is the best place you've been to?
I mean, I love to travel, and if I'm home too long, I feel like, okay, something's wrong. I need to do something. I need to go something.
Yeah.
I do get inspired by the Disney parks. The creativity, the execution of the detail, is inspiring to me. My favorite place to visit is Tokyo Disney.
Oh, nice.
And I did an entire podcast interview about my obsession with Tokyo Disney Sea. Because it's just such an elaborate, perfect, amazing, immersive entertainment experience that just it's inspiring. I'm there blown away that something of this level could be achieved and created.
What is the favorite ride?
Honestly, the whole park is it's so elaborate, so detailed, so unique. It's hard to say, a favorite because I have so many. Just really, the whole park of Disney Sea is unbelievable.
Is that like whenever you go there, like is that kind of like a professional mind too, or like you're amazed and forget about work? Because like you see.
Oh no,
a bunch of
it's still. I
different-
mean, it's both, but it's more the professional mind.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to wow me as a magician. It takes a lot to make me say wow. and be moved. That does just because of the level, but because the professional approach is why I think it's so inspiring. Because I know
Yeah.
how elaborate. I know how long that would have taken to create. I understand the stories that would have been had to be made to do this.
So you say the best Disney movie is Beauty and Beast.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Why is that?
It's enchanting. It's magic. It's a perfect musical. It's the whole package. I think it was the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, and I think it just is a perfect formula and a perfect execution.
And then also like you said about the dancer too, but also you said about different magician also. Like yourself, is that you have to perform. You have to be the best performer,
Right.
But best performer definition could be anything, right? Like my definition of best performer, your definition is different. What is your like definition of the best performer? Like, what do they have to be the best performer?
I think there's a level of like showmanship that they have to bring. They have to, be not only technically good at their job, but they have to, it's entertainment, it's a show. They've got to bring the show to life. And then I think the next thing is an authentic way of doing that. I think we are striving for authenticity now, especially with all the social media mind-numbing, mind-dumbing stuff. It's all fake. All these social media things, these stories, these reels, the TikToks, it's nonsense. It's fake, and it's so phony. I think we're all longing for authenticity. And I think the reason live shows, look at, the concerts that were on this summer, record ticket sales. People are going to see something live in person with an authentic performance. So even though they're doing the choreography or the job that's given to them, we want them to perform it at a very high show level, but with the authenticity and the vulnerability of showing who they are.
That is hard, right? Like to show who you are. Like what are you trying to show of who you are on the stage?
Yes, so yeah, I mean, it can be hard, but it's also not, but that also came from experience. So when I'm on stage, if you see me or know me off stage, I'm much more introverted. I don't like to be in groups of people. I like dogs more than people. I like to be home with my dogs in a book or a movie. I want to be left alone.
Yeah.
But when I'm on stage, I'm a lot more lively, more engaging. And so what I put on stage, it's me. It's just magnifying certain parts of me and my personality for the audience.
That's interesting. You have like some sort of switch.
Not really a switch. It's just when I'm on stage, certain elements of me, because what you see on stage is 100% me. It's just parts of me that are amped up more than others. And when I'm off stage my own time, I'm not walking around with a stage voice or projecting or talking loud. It's like, I'm much more calm and subdued and introverted and introspective. So it's taking who you are and finding the parts that work for your performance, whether that's a creative job or an actual show performance or even any job, and finding what skills, what attributes, what assets, what traits that you've acquired your whole life that make you who you are, and just kind of ramping those up, giving those more of a spotlight when they need to.
Makes sense. I mean, like a lot of like I watch a lot of YouTube channel and a lot of YouTuber, and like I get like hated comments and stuff of like, hey, like when I saw you on the street, like you were like not like the way on the camera. I'm like, of course they're not gonna be the person like who talking say what's
exactly.
up guys on
but who it is on camera is still you. You're not putting on a character or a disguise or costume. It's parts of you.
Yeah.
It's just when you're on the camera, you just turn up certain parts of you.
Right. And then like I mean like I bet like your social media and all that kind of stuff, like there's a lot of engagement and comments and stuff. Like do you care about like negative comments and all that kind of stuff, or you just ignore it?
I think you have to ignore it because ultimately you're the one out there doing it and they're not. You're out there doing it and they're not. So it's like, luckily, I think probably because my genre and I'm a family-friendly entertainer, we're not doing things controversial, so we really luckily don't get much of that. You get some trolls and things time to time.
Yeah.
But really, it's just you got to keep doing what you do.
Yeah.
And having a live show, the feedback's there, the applause is there. They're not fake applauding.
Yeah.
They're not doing it to be nice. They're staying. Sometimes it takes hours for the entire audience to stay and do meet and greet and autographs, and I'll stay as long as it takes.
Yeah.
So if they're waiting 90 minutes, 2 hours to meet me for a picture and autograph, that's going to outweigh a negative comment from a troll who's never seen the show.
I mean, I think that's awesome. I mean, people have so many choices, so many entertainment, and people come to watch, and then like I mean. People never seen his show, like I totally they should go see it for sure. I mean, it's like I think it's just like super fun to watch, and it's like it's just like magic you see on like some cafe or like it's like a small like casino or something like that. It's just like okay, it's a magic show, you know what I mean? But like your show is like it's I don't know, like you should call it's a show, but it's like I don't know.
It's an experience.
Yeah, it's an experience.
And because I love the theater so much, I wanted my show to be very theatrical.
Yeah, and I think like you're kind of combining what theater brings to the table and then all that kind of stuff. So it's just complete package. I think people should go watch. And then I was thinking about you're saying about like when you go home, right? Like where do you define your home?
Hotels. No, I grew up in Norman, Oklahoma, and I still have a house there. I'm never really there much, but I still have a house there.
Yeah. I think it's crazy to me because like now like I've been in the United States, so I was born in Mexico, and then 3 to 17 I was in Japan, and then 18 to now I'm here.
Right.
So like it's half of time in the United States, half of time in Japan. So where they ask me like where I'm from, I'm like I say Japan.
Right.
But I think I'm gonna be longer here. Like
right.
Would I call my home here, or like would I call like like
yeah?
Because I was having a conversation with my girlfriend yesterday. It's just like, yeah, it's kind of weird. People like doesn't say home is like where you were born, where you grew up. Like that's
right.
You call home. Like what do you think about
that? I think probably because I still have family here in Oklahoma, and because like I said, I grew my show incrementally. My warehouse is here. My foundation's here. And we are traveling so much around the world all the time. So, why would I pay for a place in New York or LA right now that's going to be empty 90% of the time? So I think it's just because just here because this is where I grew and we built it and our foundation is. But I think for home, it's where you feel like home, where you're registered to vote, where you where your mail goes, where you call home, where you go back to, where you keep going back to.
Right, that makes sense. Interesting. So, like end of this podcast segment, I do ask 2 questions. What is advice you give yourself 5 years ago? But 2018, that's pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
What were you doing in 2018?
That was the America's Got Talent year. That was the year we were flying back and forth filming AGT from all around the world, and I was back at the Atlantis in the Bahamas that year, and it was a busy, busy year.
Awesome. So if you could talk to yourself 5 years ago, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would say invest in Zoom and get virtual shows ready early. Film a TV special now and get ready to sell Netflix in 2 years. I would say invest in medical masks and stock. But creatively, I would say keep going. Just keep going because I would just keep telling myself to remember all the good things that have happened so far, and help use those to propel myself, through the challenges and obstacles that keep happening and will keep happening, and keep moving forward and get ready. It's about to get really fun.
That's awesome. How about that? How do you see yourself in 5 years?
Still doing this, still loving this, still being creative, and now because we've had some success and accomplishments, I can focus more on the fun and the creativity than I had to. Some of the duties, the stresses, the works, the unknowns have kind of either dissolved away or been transferred to other people we work with now. So now I can really focus on doing what I love to do, what I'm prepared to do.
That's awesome. I mean, it's crazy how that 5 years ago and then 5 years from now, it's just things changes pretty quickly. But it's kind of core of yourself doesn't change. I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then the reason I'm asking this question to everybody is that I want to keep continuing doing this podcast and then meet different people, and then I want to make a coffee table book.
Oh, great!
So I'm gonna make a book. I haven't wrote any of the book because it's written by people.
By your guests.
And then 5 years ago, and they show the picture. And then I want to reach out to 5 years from now and say, hey, where you at?
I like it. I think it's a great idea. Have you thought of your 5-year answers, or are you still thinking about yours?
For myself?
Yeah.
Myself, I would love to live or have a home somewhere else rather than Oklahoma. I haven't decided yet, but I think in the process of. And then I would love to have, different businesses established, and then do what I love, and then documenting life, and then inspiring people. And then 5 years from now, I would love to, because I came here as an exchange student, so I would love to have financial freedom to help other people to do the same thing I did, because I had my grandmother's help a little bit,
right?
So that the people who do not have that kind of help, and then maybe I can do YouTube, submission or something that for a scholarship or whatever donation I can make to the people to, make their dream come true. If I can support that for other people, that's something I want to do for in 5 years.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Is there anything else that we didn't cover today?
We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
It was good trip down memory lane, and good to see you again, and you're still creative. It looks like you're really thriving. So it's been great.
Thank you. Yeah, just doing a lot of stuff, videos and marketing and kind of stuff, and then it's been fascinating to work with the people who are a lot better than me or what they do, So.
Isn't that great? When you can find people with their specific skills that you can hand it over, but hand over to a level more. Because as an entrepreneur and creative, you would have figured out a way to learn it and do it, get it done yourself, as what you had to do. But it's great when you can finally hand it off to someone who does it really well, and we can work with them to make it great.
Yeah, it's massive. And then it's kind of like you're saying, you see the billboard and you see your face, right? But I don't see my face on the billboard, but I see it on the billboard, and then I travel to a different state, and then my company made that.
Yeah. That's when you know you're doing something right.
That's awesome. But thanks for coming so much.
Oh, thanks for having me. Great to see you again.
Great to see you. And then thanks to everybody for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit a like button, and then comment if you guys wanted to get to know more about it. And then how can people support you?
Rob Lake Magic on all the socials, and roblake.com is the website.
Okay, so that people go to Rob Lake Magic, all the social media, follow him. And if you guys are listening to iTunes or Spotify, give us a 5-star review, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Peace.